I don't play this from.
All right, welcome to Those Guys Sports Podcast, where the hot takes are spicier than stadium nachos, the stats are sometimes correct, and the only thing more unpredictable than college football is us trying to agree on anything. Troy, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, I've been doing pretty well, as you know. Been pretty busy, but when we kick the show off playing Blink-182, it's always a good time.
I bet. So, Troy, let's get right into it, man. Georgia, Tennessee. It was a thriller, man. At the time, number 6 Georgia, they got past 15 Tennessee in a 44-41 thriller in overtime. I think both quarterbacks threw for over 300 yards. I know Gunnar Stockton, he had 2 touchdowns. You had Joey Aguilar that had 4 touchdowns. So, I don't know, Troy. SEC ball, there's nothing like it, right?
Man, I will say that has been probably one of the better games that I watched over the weekend. I mean, it was going back and forth. Both quarterbacks had a good game. Now, I honestly thought at one point Tennessee was going to kind of run away with it early on, right? They jumped out to that 21-7 lead. And I was kind of, looking at Georgia like this might be a big loss for them. But turned out to be a good game. So got some free football out of it, right?
Absolutely. And then, of course, Troy, being the historian you are, Georgia Tennessee's a big rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
They do not like each other. And I want to say I saw a video of Georgia fans singing Rocky Top after the game. That's amazing. Like, I know Tennessee fans, not only do they lose to their rival, but they have to see their rival fans singing Rocky Top. I know that was just a double stabbing to the heart. So,
Man, yeah, there was a lot of videos surfacing. I don't know if you guys kept up with it, but I was playing around with on X, and man, I even saw Tennessee fans fighting with each other. So, I mean, man, you can't be mad at their performance. But it was pretty good, man.
Hey, Troy, switching gears a little bit, can you give our audience some insights on that Vanderbilt South Carolina game, because you predicted it? You said Vanderbilt was going to take down number 11 South Carolina. They didn't just take them down; they crushed them,
Yeah,
breaking
man.
a 16-year losing streak. Wow.
Yeah, no, that was impressive. So that game, I wasn't surprised, honestly. I think Vanderbilt has been the underdog even last year going into the season. Man, Diego Pavia, Stowers, those guys have that program running. Tim Beck, that's like the perfect offense for that
Yes.
program. So he has a perfect, run, pass, mix. So man, I enjoy watching that offense play because they have some explosive throws. And Pavia made a couple nice throws there towards the end of the game. And, we even got to see a former Aggie quarterback also. The backup quarterback got in for a little bit.
Yes.
Blaze Berlowitz, he got in, got a couple little series in. So happy to see that for him. He's a good kid. I met him in person one time at one of the hotels whenever I was out of town. But, man, great kid, Oklahoma kid. So hopefully he excels there, whenever Pavia does leave. But that game was good. I just, I am not surprised that was the outcome. I think South Carolina is a little overrated, to be honest. However, like you said, man, a 16-year drought against South Carolina, that's insane. So,
Yes. And you know what, Troy? I agree. I think South Carolina is overrated. I mean, I like the physical tools of Lenore Sellers.
yeah.
Great big arm, athletic. He looks like a first round quarterback. But sometimes some of his decision making and just kind of how he operates the offense, sometimes I question, is there too much emphasis on his athletic ability compared to his ability to manage the game? So
Yeah.
that's just kind of something that I've been looking at with him.
And don't get me wrong, I think it started off with South Carolina. I think they captured the momentum early. But, man, once Vanderbilt got rolling, it was nonstop. And the whole second half, I mean, it was all Vanderbilt, man. So kudos to them. Always excited to see Pavia do well. And, shout out to those former NMSU guys.
Exactly. Hey, Troy, I have a question for you, though. Kind of just real quick. So, being a guy like yourself that, really analyzes ball, do you think how much does scheme play a role in building an effective program? Having the right scheme for certain players?
Oh, man. I think that's crucial. So, and I think Tim Beck, that's what he's good at. So he knows what type of offense that he wants to run, and he goes out and finds these players that are going to fit well, right? He wants that quarterback that could throw a little bit, but could also run if needed. And I think we were talking about like the offensive line for some reason. Last week, we're kind of talking about how you need to go find some offensive linemen like in the Kansas area, the Oklahoma area, the Nebraska kids, the ones that are going to be built, strong, play through, obviously some bad weather. These kids are tough. So you go out and find some, offensive linemen there, and then you go out and find your speed in like Florida, California, Texas, and build yourself a nice little offense. But man, Tim, I like Tim Beck's offense. It's not boring at all. I think it's when he ran it well in New Mexico State, they schemed everyone well. That's why they found success and they won 10 games. So
exactly.
They weren't going to just line up and even when they played Auburn that year, they weren't going to just line up across from Auburn and just out physical them. I mean, they kind of did actually, but going into it, they had a lot of RPO set up. They had a lot of the screen game was working well. So he does a good job incorporating like a different style of offense. That's hard to it's hard to scheme because for instance, Pavia could kind of do it all, right? He could throw, he could run. And I mean, you have been victim to that on NCAA. So
knock it off, boy. Knock it off, sir.
You can't tell what I'm doing. So, but man, I think at this point, I mean, talking about scheming as well. I mean, who does a good job of it? Look at Georgia Tech right now.
Yeah.
That team a couple years ago wasn't looking too good, right? So. But now, I mean, they go into the ball games prepared, and they're having some success.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then just a side note, so because I know we're gonna have some fans that are like, "Hey, Lenore Sellers was knocked out of the game with a head injury." I'm bold enough to say this, Troy. They were trailing when he got knocked out the game.
Yeah,
I still didn't like what I saw, so I don't know. Maybe South Carolina would have scored another touchdown if he was healthy, but I still think Vandy would have won that game convincingly.
Oh man, I think Vanderbilt. They just were the more physical team. There is no doubt about it. So, I mean, really, they got off to a slow start, right? And typically they do sometimes, but man, second half took over. They were golden.
Exactly. Hey, shout out to Vanderbilt. That's kind of like our SEC team because of NMSU ties. Of course, Troy, I know it's LSU first, but I know both of us root for Vandy because of those New Mexico State ties. So it's really cool.
Hey, I will say this, Chris. I know you've been obviously following up the playoffs and stuff, and so I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of skeptical of this because I remember when I went to the Fiesta Bowl and I watched Joe Burrow kind of give that whole speech at the end and say, "Oh, well, we're going to go to the national championship next year and win it all." As an LSU fan, you applaud, right? You're like, "Yeah," and then you're kind of just like, "Probably not going to happen," because we always used to lose those last couple games, or we lose a game in between, and it never would happen. Well, the way that the playoffs are structured, and obviously LSU wins next year, right, or the following year, they dominate, have one of the best college seasons ever. Well, Vanderbilt, okay, last year Pavia was kind of in the same boat, talking about how he wants to go to the national championship. I'm not saying they're going to go to the national championship. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is he's good. If the momentum continues, they might put themselves in a position to go to the playoffs. Just because I do think, Chris, listen to me. If he stays healthy, I do think there's a chance that they can slide into the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is because the playoffs are wide open right now. I haven't seen one team that has been completely dominant and that is like out there just putting up an insane amount of points. So I'm calling it right now, Chris. I'm calling it.
Wishful thinking, Troy. I mean, oh my goodness. I would love to see that. As a major sports fan, that would be a dream. If they could make the playoffs, oh my goodness. Short of Texas being in the playoff, I would root for Vandy to win it all. But I don't know, Troy. That's wishful thinking. And
I don't think they would win it all. I don't think they would win it all. But I do think that they could find themselves in the playoffs. I really do. I think they could find themselves in the first round easily.
Troy, my heart says I want to go with you on this, but logic says it's just a little too rich for my blood with that take.
You know what? It's okay, because if I pull up my old Twitter fights that I would have with people, they didn't agree with me that Vanderbilt was gonna, take off and upset Alabama and make a bowl game. So it's okay. We'll agree to disagree on that. But man, I'm telling you right now, Chris. I'm telling you right now, they have a chance.
Maybe. No, that would be awesome. But Troy, in terms of the playoff, I hate saying this, but I know it's kind of wide open, but I still think Ohio State has the edge. I think that it's Ohio State's championship to lose. Even with starting a young quarterback, their defense is just dominant. So, I don't know. Real quick, Troy,
if LSU and Ohio State go at it, that's going to be a defensive battle because, man, I'll tell you what, both offenses have been a little shaky. Well, at least LSU's has, but it's okay. Sure. I don't want Brian Kelly to yell at me.
That would be funny. Hey, Troy, real quick. Speaking of some of these Power 5 teams, Texas, I mean, they won, but as a Texas fan, I wasn't feeling good. Like, don't get me wrong. Scotty Walden's doing a heck of a job. He's an amazing coach. He really has UTEP playing good football. But even though he's a good coach, Texas should not. Oh, how do I want to say this? Texas should have beat him by a lot more. Let's face it. So, not taking anything away from UTEP and how they game planned, I don't know what's going on with Texas. Arch just seems off. I hope he turns it around, but there was a lot of hype surrounding him, and he just hasn't looked the part.
It's those Pinchy Miners, Chris.
Oh, Lord.
Those guys, man, they don't go away. No, I was actually pretty surprised with that myself. I thought it was going to be I thought Texas was going to put up more points. I really did. UTEP kind of hung in there the entire time, and they had chances to score. They threw interceptions. They turned the ball over. But man, they had a chance to even make it closer, which is kind of bizarre. So it's hard for me to kind of gauge that. Was Texas having an off game? You've watched more Texas football than I have, and obviously I was kind of switching back and forth. But man, UTEP. They seem like they've gotten better, so I'll give them credit. But I will say this, Chris, like LSU too, like their offense hasn't looked, completely dominant either. It seems like, I don't know if teams are just starting to adjust to this spread offense or, kind of what's going on there. But if you look, I mean, like Ohio was giving, Ohio State fits this weekend, So, man, I don't know. So there are some games that I thought were going to be complete blowouts, and they've been a lot closer than what I've envisioned. So,
okay,
I don't know. What's your take on that?
No, I've seen that too, Troy. I told you off air my suspicion on what it is. I think part of it is too with so much going on in the transfer portal and
yeah,
so many players moving from school to school each year. Personally, I think that's affecting it. I think even though you have these superstar players going to different schools, there's still an adjustment, right?
Yeah.
There's still a learning curve. So you got guys in there that it's going to take them a while to really learn the new offense or learn the new defense, kind of understand how the program operates. And I think that shows up on the product, or that shows up on the field with the product that's being presented, right?
Yeah.
I think you're seeing some offenses shaky because the word I wanted to use is just fluidity, right? There's so much fluidity in college football compared to when we grew up, where, a player would develop through a program for their 3 or 4 years. They really knew the program well. There was a big emphasis on really learning the schemes. And I just kind of feel like many of these programs, it's just, hey, you're a great athlete, or hey, you're a great player, plug and play, go in there. And I think you're starting to see kind of an adjustment. And that's why we're seeing struggling.
And I think you're right. And okay, I know we spoke on Vanderbilt earlier, but they're the perfect example. I mean, let's take what Tim Beck has done at New Mexico State, right? Yeah. And he created a good offense, managed to keep those guys together. They all transferred out to Vanderbilt, and then the Pavia rule happens, right? Found out that Pavia is coming back. And same thing, man. You're seeing some really great things happen in Vanderbilt right now. And, the fluidity of it, right? So you're seeing this core group of guys that have already been around each other for 3 or 4 years already, that have already developed that bond and that connection. To me, that's important, man. You need that team chemistry, because if you don't have it, it doesn't matter what kind of talent you've been on. I've been on talented teams. My second year of junior college, we had a bunch of talent, but guess what? Everyone, I don't want to say everyone was like an individual, but it was kind of one of those things where we just had there was just no connection. Things just weren't gelling, But yeah, man, I mean, you look at it with Vanderbilt situation, and I'm going to use them as a prime example just because, man, they've shown me, they showed everyone else that you could accomplish some big time things if, you stick together and the chemistry's there.
Exactly, Troy. Keywords, right? Chemistry. I'll even throw in culture. And then the third thing, Troy, don't get me wrong. There's some really great head coaches with these major teams. But sometimes, Troy, at these really big programs, I feel like the coaches take on more of a CEO role, which is great.
Yeah.
Whereas with some of these smaller FCS or FBS programs, and even like the FCS programs, I feel like those coaches have to really, really teach. And I think that's the difference, where you get a Scotty Walden, and I'll use him as an example, or you get even a Tony Sanchez or Jason Eck. These are hungry, good coaches that, yes, they're managing and they're running their programs, but they're also great teachers. So they're hands-on in every aspect of the game. They're hands-on with their coordinators, and they're at practice making sure that their players know what they're doing, know how to execute well. And no knock on, some of the big coaches, but sometimes those programs are so big. Yeah. It's more about the politics of college football than it is why we love the game, right? The true teaching of the game, true X's and O's, true development, all those nuances and intangible things that make a team come together, right? That make your players sharp, even if there's not a lot of talent. Yeah. There's a good culture there. There's IQ there. There's hey, I'm not going to let my brother down, so I'm going to step up every play and get it done, even if I'm going to get somebody bigger or faster. Yeah,
no, I agree with you, man. I really do. Yeah. So, those are the teams that will win championships, right?
Exactly. Well, kind of, sticking on that topic of major transitions and NIL and the fluidity, Troy, let's talk about UCLA, because UCLA was supposed to get the prize of the offseason with Nico Wright from Tennessee. They were supposed to get the best quarterback that was available in the transfer portal. They got him for what, $4 or $5 million, and then they got their butts whooped by UNM.
Yeah, I remember on the last episode, you kind of reminded me of all that. I was like, I totally forgot that there was like that whole off-season drama between Tennessee and Nico. Then he ends up going to UCLA, and UCLA ends up winning him over with a big old fat NIL deal. Man, I watched that game, Chris, and I will say this isn't the UCLA that I'm used to seeing playing. I don't think. I mean, man, I hate to bash anyone, right? Like, because these guys are D1 dudes, but they did not look good. I just don't think they had the heart to play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it was. I think the chemistry's off. Like, I don't know what it was, right? They had athleticism. I mean, you could tell, like, at first they were getting off the ball. You had some speed there, but, man, like, the chemistry just was not there. You had dumb penalties. You had some turnovers. They got a couple turnovers, when UNM was over there driving and, about to score a touchdown. I think it was like on the 5, and then UNM ends up fumbling or something. I will say, and I appreciate Coach Eck for even acknowledging this. He went on an interview and was like, hey, let's not act like we beat Ohio State. This is a big win for us, guys, but like, and it's good. You still got to go in there and you got to take care of business. You're still going to the Rose Bowl. You're still going to Los Angeles where there's a lot of distractions, right? But you still got to go take care of business. Unfortunately, I think UCLA just fired their coach today. But there's a lot of there's a lot of things going on with that program right now, and even with them transitioning to the Big Ten, I will say this. I guess excluding USC, but man, transitioning to the Big Ten, I know that's a huge adjustment for them. So, you look at teams like Stanford and UCLA. I'll even throw in Cal in there. They're not. Well, Cal's actually off to a decent start, but that's a huge adjustment. They're not taking that very well. So, but man, yeah, I thought it was a crazy game. I was watching it. It's almost watching it. I was like, yeah, UNM is going to win this game early on. They just look like a more physical team, and they started running the ball really well towards the end. So, Jason Eck, man, he's a heck of a coach. He gets his teams ready to play. I will say that even whenever he was at Idaho, I told you many times, and I'm going to say this every episode of this podcast, whoever was going to pick up Jason Eck was going to get a hell of a coach. And so far, man, he has just shown that. So, if I were like Lobo fans right now, you guys should be excited. You guys should be at every game because you guys have a hell of a coach, and, don't take that for granted. So.
Exactly, Troy. And I think, too, of course, I don't think any general managers or Troy athletic directors are going to listen to us. But my recommendation for some of these prominent FBS or even just prominent college football programs, hey, when you're doing your coaching hires, don't just get the flashy name out there.
Yeah.
Make sure you get somebody that is about winning, is about building a good program, brings in guys that have high character, guys that are hungry to play, love the game. And I feel like sometimes you got to look at small programs, coaches, even at the D2 and FCS level, that just love teaching ball, are good people themselves, so they only want high character kids to come play for them. Those are the type of coaches you want to bring in that are going to run a high-quality program. So athletic directors, general managers, powers that be at these major programs, if you're looking for head coaches, take our advice, please.
Yeah, seriously. But, Chris, I pulled up some stats just to kind of go over everything. Yeah. So, New Mexico had 450 total yards. UCLA had 326. Passing yards, UCLA had more. They had 217. UNM had 152. Rushing yards, New Mexico almost had 300 yards, and UCLA had 109. Time of possession, UNM dominated the time of possession. 36 minutes, 38 seconds. UCLA had it for 23 minutes. First downs, 22, UCLA 15. Penalties. This is a key difference maker, too. New Mexico had 4 for 29 yards. UCLA had 13 for 116 yards.
See,
So
I see. Oh, go ahead, Troy.
no. I'm just saying, man. I mean, like that was the difference. And Jason Eck, like I said, he had some guys transfer in at the FCS level, and they all they did real good. So, Damon Bankston, he had a really good run for a touchdown there at the end as well. So I was actually pretty impressed with him. He's a physical dude. That's definitely we're gonna have to keep an eye on for the UNM and NMSU game.
Exactly. No, and thank you for those stats, Troy. I mean, hey, from what it sounds like, UNM had the ingredients for success.
Yeah.
And UCLA had the ingredients to get their butt whooped and their coach fired. And
Yeah.
that's what happened. So NMSU is on a bye, but that the following week is the real grand rivalry. NMSU versus UNM should be interesting. Hey, so Troy, kind of switching gears before we kind of dig into the rivalry a little bit. What are your thoughts about how NMSU is playing this year? Of course, we attended the Tulsa versus NMSU game. That was a fun game. NMSU got the win with a last second drive, and they had a nice interception to seal it. Of course, we had a really fun experience before the game, during the game, after the game. How did you feel, Troy? What did you think about that whole experience?
First of all, yeah, I mean, it was a great time. It was a fun experience. I think you even said you've been to plenty of NMSU games, but that was probably a better experience for you. And
yes.
Man, it was fun, and it's always good to get like an Aggie win, right? So, and here's my take on it. There was a lot of people that were like, "Oh man, it was boring. It was a boring first half." No, I kind of disagree. I think you see two really good defenses. I think TU is a good defense. I think they played Navy tough, and in my opinion, Navy's pretty good this year. Man, I think you had two really good defenses just kind of going at it. And then, there was finally some breaks there where, we got some touchdowns there at the very end when it was crucial. I will say we got the quarterback, right? I like Fife. I like how he plays. That guy he could run around, he could throw, he could sling it. He threw a couple darts the first game. But man, I will say the offensive line is kind of struggling a little bit.
They need some work, yeah.
The run game just isn't there. And I think that's the difference right now. When they establish that run game, they're going to be too, they're not going to just be so one dimensional. Because right now, I mean, we saw that with La Tech this last weekend. La Tech, man, pretty much shut down their passing game.
Troy.
Yeah. I mean, La Tech came out swinging, and then they came out fast. So, man, I do say, I don't know how you correct this problem, though, Chris. This is usually something that you have to fix in the spring.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can fix overnight. I don't know if you have to add a little bit more type of option plays and, little swing plays where you're keeping things a little bit more, keeping the runs more towards the outside. I don't know. I just know that the offensive line needs to be a little bit more, physical. Easier said than done, right? I mean, they've played some pretty good defensive fronts. Like I said, TU, man, they're tough, and it was important getting that win because their schedule isn't going to get any easier. And I kind of underestimated La Tech. After watching the LSU La Tech game, I was a little disappointed. But then seeing La Tech kind of get after NMSU a little bit, I was like, maybe these guys are pretty legit. So, I hope the Aggies kind of figure it out. And once that run game comes together, man, and once it starts clicking, it's going to come together. So they're going to start putting up, more points. But they got to keep the defense off the field. And I think that's the thing with La Tech, man. The defense was on the field way too quickly. They weren't able to recover. So obviously more points were given up. They didn't play like the top defense in the Conference USA like they were going into that game. But, man, we'll see what happens. Offensive line, I mean, it's an important role, and it needs to come together for UNM because UNM's going to be physical. So they need to figure something out.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think to answer your question, Troy, um, no, I trust Tony Sanchez. I think he's definitely evaluating the offensive line. He knows his
Yeah.
weaknesses. I don't know how you fix it in season. Maybe you shuffle around the offensive line, or maybe again you run some plays that go to your strength, or kind of go away from the middle of the line and go outside. But yeah, I think he'll figure something out, and then long term, yeah, you got you got to get into those small towns and get those big boys out of those small towns that love football, and
Right.
rebuild your offensive line with some hungry guys. But
Hey,
no,
man, I will
no
say
pun intended,
this.
though.
Man, I will say this. I actually got to meet all the Aggie players and Coach Sanchez. They actually invited us out to practice. I was in town for work uh, to recruit. And, man, I will say all those kids are awesome young men. And
Okay,
they
great,
treated us
great.
very well. So, say that again.
No, I was just saying that's great. That's
Yeah,
great
no,
to
man.
hear.
And we talk about culture and how important that is. And you could tell that, Sanchez really cares about these players and the culture there is, fantastic. So, like I said, you bet like great group of young men. And man, I think they're capable of doing some pretty big things in the conference this year. Like I really do. And they're capable of having a solid year. It's just once that line comes together, they'll be okay.
Yeah,
But man, as far as like the entire coaching staff, I mean, those guys are awesome. And one thing that's going to take off for them is Coach Sanchez gave me a personal tour of their new facility. So next year, when recruiting happens, man, it's going to be a game changer. That facility, I can't wait for you guys to see like when they unveil like the new locker room. So that way you guys can see for yourselves, man. This is a game changer. So I'm telling you, walking through this facility, it was impressive. And man, I wish nothing but success for those guys the rest of the year. And it's going to be challenging. They got some good opponents coming up, but man, like I said, I have nothing but respect for Coach Sanchez and his crew. I mean, those guys are awesome, and I'm glad I got to see a win in person too. So
yes.
that was fun.
Um, hey Troy, what's your favorite motto? Facilities, facilities, facilities. Huh?
Well, now it's
Facilities.
NIL money, NIL money, NIL money. But
Oh my
I
goodness.
will say though, this is going to help, man, because seeing what they're in now, I was like, wow, that's crazy. I wasn't expecting that, but man, these new locker rooms, they are insane, Chris. I can't wait for you to see it either.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the team that they're getting upgraded facilities. They deserve it.
Well, man,
You know.
so here's my thing. There was a lot of people that were unhappy with the coach Tony Sanchez hire, or at least on my friends list, and people don't realize he did a lot of great things at UNLV. So UNLV was a tough program to run back whenever he was there because they had nothing to recruit on. They were a lot like NMSU. They had, a terrible record the majority of their year, or, majority of their tenure. They had no facilities whatsoever. And it really wasn't like a student athlete friendly school besides basketball. So they didn't have much to recruit on, and I know he was there when he jump started that campaign to get those new facilities, that new athletic center built on campus. So man, and he had them very competitive. So I know they won the Fremont Cannon against Nevada his first year there, and they were competitive. I think I brought up that score with Idaho State whenever they put up 80 points on them. I think it was on our first or second episode, and he was the coach whenever they did that. So he did some pretty impressive things, and man, I truly believe he's the right guy for the program. I saw how he runs practice, and he's an intense individual, but dude, like awesome, just an awesome all around individual. So, and his players seem to really respect him, and they're buying into like what they're coaching.
No, that's great, and I'm excited that NMSU has a good, intense coach that is a player's coach too. But at the
Yeah,
same time, he's all about accountability and making sure that the players are doing what they need to do. That's great.
Well, man, the culture is great. Like I said, those kids are awesome. So very respectful. And you don't get that everywhere. I don't care if you go to, like, Florida, you might not get that. Every single one of these kids, great individuals, man. So.
Yeah. Switching gears, Troy, to some FCS and some Division II football. I just have a couple quick scores, and then I want you to elaborate on that game.
I told you Pitt State, man. I told you they were going to upset Grand Valley. So
talk about that, Troy. You know what? Let's just talk about it. Talk about that Pitt State win.
Yeah, so
not Penn State. Pitt State.
Pitt State. Pitt State, Kansas. The Gorillas who play in the jungle, who have
welcome to the jungle.
Yeah, they have that outside their stadium. So, man, I will say, Chris, we got to watch a game there one of these days because there's probably like 50,000 people that show up, and it's legit. Pitt State is usually one of those. Actually, Tim Beck coached at Pitt State when they won the national championship in D2. However, man, they're usually one of those schools that are constantly in the playoffs. They play in the MIAA. That is like the SEC of Division II. Now, they started off with a rough start, 2 road games. They were 0-2. Both these opponents were ranked pretty high. They lost a school in Michigan, Ferris State, who's the defending national champs, the number 1. And then they lost to UCO, which is down the street from me. Great place to watch football there too, by the way. But UCO, I think they're ranked number 18th in Division II right now. But so they lost by a field goal there. They kind of got beat up a little bit the first game. However, they were at home this week and they're playing the number 3 ranked team in Division II, Grand Valley State. So they're from Michigan. They've won a couple titles, or they go pretty deep in the playoffs every year. Tough team, right? They go and play in the jungle and they ended up winning. So I think it was a 17-14 game. But it was awesome. I was happy to see them get their first win of the season, and hopefully many more to come. And hopefully they have a decent remainder of the season as well, because I will say they have one of the best college logos. I think the gorilla is a legit logo. And I have a picture with the gorilla, on campus as well. So, man, if you guys get time, check it out. Check them out. Follow up with them. And, hopefully me and Chris can get out there one of these days and give you guys some content.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll have to schedule a trip to Pittsburg, Kansas, huh?
Yeah. And it'll be all on your credit card. So.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Troy, but we'll see.
You look
Troy,
at
let's
me
talk
like,
about a real. I don't know. Troy, let's talk about a real small school battle. Ashland versus University of Indianapolis, Troy.
Uh-huh.
University of Indianapolis got the 33-26 victory. They came back, some good defensive play and some good special teams play. How about that?
Man, that's good for Indianapolis. They're another tough school that usually does pretty well in the playoffs. So, Ashland, I don't know much about Ashland, I'll be honest. But I have followed up with Indianapolis every now and then. So, but what did you say the final to that score was?
33-26.
Yeah, that was a pretty good game.
Exactly, especially when Michael Shimmick had a career game with 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and 5 tackles.
Oh, wow.
So some good play. Yeah, some good play. So it's also for our viewers out there, I know, it's not always easy to watch these FCS or Division II, Division III games, but if you get a chance to, whether it's local or, you're able to find a free recording of the game, do it. Because even when you're watching the draft, it's cool when, a small school guy gets drafted, or even when they're going through the combine process, or they're playing in the East-West Shrine game or something like that. It's cool to be like, hey, I watched that guy, when they were in college, and I got to kind of see their development all the way to the pros. It's a really cool
Man,
feeling.
I will say like some of these schools have like cool venues to watch them in too. Early on when I went to Western New Mexico, yeah, it's basically a set of bleachers, but man, you get to watch some pretty fast-paced football, and you see some good teams come in through there. So, this also, Chris, like a small school that I want to highlight as well. Not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. I know we're a little late on that, but the Battaglia Bowl between New Mexico Highlands and Western New Mexico University. Man, I will say, well, New Mexico Highlands, man, they were putting it on Western there for a while. I think they jumped out to like a 28-7 lead. Somehow Western comes back, ties it up. At one point, it was tied at 55-55. So man, they were having a shootout, and I think New Mexico Highlands ended up, bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Damn, man, you got to interrupt the podcast? I mean, come on, man.
It's life. It's life, Troy.
New Mexico Highlands ended up winning. I think it was like 69-55. But man, a great game, shootout. So, and then I will say Western has been having a rough time ever since. They just lost to West Texas A&M this past weekend. So yeah, and their schedule doesn't get any easier. They got Angelo State. So those of you guys who don't know, Angelo State is a pretty good school up in Texas. So it's not going to get easy for them. And obviously, Eastern New Mexico, the Greyhounds, they're struggling right now. So, and then one of the D2 schools that I follow up with out here, Northeastern State. They lost this past weekend against Northern Alabama, which they're D1 now. So I was kind of expecting that. But they have been way more competitive this year than they have in the past. So I'm excited to see them continue, and we'll see what happens throughout the year. But one game that I'm focusing on this week, Chris, is Fort Lewis College versus Black Hills State in South Dakota. Uh-oh. So Black Hills State 0-3, haven't got a win all season. Fort Lewis College, they are usually involved in a lot of losing seasons. Want to see them do good. Someone's going to get their first Division II win this weekend. So Fort Lewis is 1-1. They beat an NAIA school up in Arizona Christian University. So I'm curious to see what happens here, man. I mean, one of them's going to get a win. So I know Black Hill State, they've kind of played a tougher schedule this year. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, some exciting football coming up. Last thing we're going to do before we sign off is I'll give a quick recap of some of the local high school games, or at least the ones that I saw or at least heard about. So I know Las Cruces High School got a big win. It was a close game, but they got a big win against Cleveland.
Huge.
So Cruces is in the, they're in the driver's seat. It's their, I feel like, this is their year to win state. Hopefully Troy, our former high school, could get it done and bring a state championship back. I was excited when I saw that win. Shout out to Coach Lopez, getting those boys ready and getting the big win against Cleveland in Rio Rancho. Centennial, they had a really close win against Rio Rancho, so good for them. They're starting to, play some really good football. I know Oregon Mountain, they lost to St. Pius, but there were some good things in that game. And, yeah, I want to see Oregon Mountain, of course, continue to, get better, and hopefully they can make a push for the playoffs. And then I did not get the Mayfield or the Gadsden score, but
Gadsden won. It was 42-21. I think it was 42-21. Okay. Gadsden won. So
anything on Mayfield?
Huh?
Anything on Mayfield, Troy?
No, I mean they beat Mayfield. Gadsden beat Mayfield. They played Mayfield.
Oh, Gadsden played Mayfield and they beat him down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Poor Mayfield, huh? They're just kind of struggling, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot going on with that, and if we sat here and talked about our opinion on why they're, not doing well, Troy, that's a whole nother 2 episodes, huh?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So that's for the off season when we have nothing to talk about, and we kind of keep viewers engaged. So
exactly,
man.
Hey,
I will say.
oh, go ahead, Troy.
We're like in sync together. Man, I will say that Las Cruces Cleveland game, that was an awesome game to check out because
Yes.
I don't think Cruces has ever beat Cleveland. I could be wrong on that.
I'm not
have
sure.
they? I'm not sure.
I know they played in a state. I think they played in a state championship during the COVID
But
year,
Cleveland won.
and I know
Yeah.
Cleveland won that. And then I know Cleveland knocked them out of the playoffs. I think not too
Dude,
long ago. But
they've
yeah, I
had our
don't know.
number forever. And that was a huge win for Cruces High, man. I mean, and as long as those kids kind of, stay intact and keep a good head on their shoulders, they're going to be okay. And kind of like you said, that was a state game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You were watching
Yeah,
the state play or the state championship, just early on in the season. So, man, they got to continue that momentum. Obviously, if they play them again, they're going to have to kind of adjust to some things because I know Cleveland's going to make adjustments. They're not going to take that loss lightly. One thing that I was pretty surprised about, Chris, even when we watched the JV game, the JV Centennial Cleveland game, those Cleveland kids, they got some size. So
they do.
There's a huge difference there, but that's the difference between the North and the South. South is just built with speed.
Yeah, built with something. Well, audience, thank you all for tuning into our show. We have something really cool coming up for everybody. We're actually going to start doing prediction shows. So right before, Saturdays, Troy and I want to have a prediction show where not only do we make predictions, we want you in the comments on social media to predict who you think is going to win. And hey, if there's some games that we're not talking about, even some smaller FCS or Division II, NAIA, Division III games, please drop them in the comments for us. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Troy and I's goal is just to build a really awesome community around this podcast of people that love football, particularly college football. Outside of that, the last thing I will say is something that we're working on that hopefully we can give you guys in a couple weeks is just kind of like a video montage of me beating down Troy on the NCAA college football video game because Troy gets his butt whooped by me
Chris,
every time we play.
they call
it's
me the
not
comeback
even close.
No,
so
no.
I hope you guys will enjoy the montage of me beating down Troy and then Troy rage quitting on the college football video game.
That's never happened, Chris. I've literally almost
Troy, so I'm
watched
not
you
up 13-9 in our series.
No.
I'm not up 13-9 when it comes to our series.
No, you're not. So I think it's 9-9 right now. I
Troy,
wouldn't call you ever taking the lead.
Oh, so I forget, Troy. You live by your own reality. So
you're counting the times that I'm like, some terrible teams. You're playing with UT, and I'm over here playing with Wyoming, and I have no offense.
Okay, knock it off, Troy.
So, and I still almost beat you.
You always have the upper hand when it comes to teams. You're home most of the time.
No, that's not true at all. So, not true.
Troy believes in alternative facts.
But when you play with Missouri State, Chris, that's not much of a home field advantage.
Missouri, is that even a team that you could play with on the game?
Yes, I play with them all the time, Chris. I think I beat you
don't play with them.
too.
You try to play with Vanderbilt, then you get smacked because you try to run the option with Diego Pavia and then you fumble.
Yeah, I mean he does have a fumbling problem in the game, so it's not realistic. Hey, I think I have come back. Hey, weren't you up on me 28-0 and I ended up beating you?
That happened one time, but I'm still up in the overall series. No. Anyways, guys, let's sign off because Troy's talking nonsense, and I know we need to end this show. So stay tuned for next time. Take care.
Yeah. Hey, guys, wait 1 sec.
Here we go.
you guys need to please follow our Instagram accounts. Follow every account that we have out there. We have one on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. So if you have friends, make sure that they like our accounts. They might not like our content, but that's okay. They just need to like our accounts. So
there we go.
Yeah,
like them, please.
Yep. Like
awesome.
and subscribe.
All right. Yes, like and subscribe. Those guys signing off. Take care.
Peace.